I'm happy to see so many people here. My name is Sue Macadera, and I am the Elementary Curriculum Coordinator for the Sioux Falls School District. It is my pleasure to work with all of the principals and all of the teachers at the elementary level and help them figure out just what's the best thing to teach all of your eager kindergartners that are going to come join us next year. I have a question for you. How many of you is this your first time in kindergarten? Your first child in kindergarten? That is awesome. That is so exciting. Believe it or not, it's been a really long time ago, but I remember that so clearly from when my daughter, who's now like 32 years old, was first starting kindergarten for the first time, and it's just such an exciting time. She loved it. Your kids are going to love it. It's just, I can't wait for this event in your life. It's really going to be fun. You're going to be able to hear from a principal and a teacher, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves in just a minute. But I wanted to call your attention to this brightly colored little packet, and if you didn't pick one up, there may be some still out there when you leave. This is just kind of a handy little 4-page document that gives you some ideas. Sometimes in my role, parents call and go, ooh, my daughter or my son is going to start kindergarten this fall. What should I do to get him ready? And most of the time I say things like, you know what, read with them, talk with them, ask questions of them. When they ask you questions, ask it right back. I don't know. Why do you think birds can fly? It's really kind of a fun thing to do. But this will give you some ideas to just kind of get some ideas started. So there's information about what you need when you first register for kindergarten. There's information about how kids gather that language, how they learn to first put that language together, their vocabulary, how they learn to write, ideas about math, things you can do to even get them ready for mathematics already, and ways to help them with their handwriting. If they're starting to make letters and they want to know how to make them correctly, here's a little guide for you so you don't have to worry about teaching them the wrong way. As I said, I am thrilled to see you here. I'm anxious to have you hear everything and get all of your questions answered, so I'm going to turn it over to Kirsten Mahacek, principal here at Hayward Elementary.
Kirsten Mahacek. I have been at Hayward for approximately 9 years. Prior to that, I was at Oscar Howe and I was at JFK. I absolutely love my job. I think the most because every day is a new adventure for me. I don't ever get to repeat anything. And the best part of my job with your kids are where they come in as a 5-year-old and where they leave at the end of the year is an amazing change. It's probably one of the most incredible things that's going to happen. I'd like to introduce you Jeannie Hoff. She is one of our kindergarten teachers. At Hayward, we have 6 kindergarten classrooms.
I'm going to go ahead and get started with what they should know before they come to kindergarten. What would be helpful for your child? And you can just kind of follow along with me on the slide. If your child can zip their zipper, have snapping their pants, buttoning, tying shoes, those kinds of self-help skills, it just makes their day go a lot smoother because they're not trying to worry about getting things on and being behind everybody else. So those are some really important things that you can start doing with your child right now. Following 1 and 2-step directions, having them, you put your shoes in the corner and hang up your coat, you know, those kinds of things, and just see if they can follow those. Able to listen to a whole storybook. When you're reading to them, can they sit and listen and just practice that? If they can't right now, just work into it a little bit. After you read the story, ask them questions about it. See if they can retell you parts of the story. That'll get them ready for the reading part of kindergarten. Sharing toys, playing with others, taking turns, all those kinds of social skills are really helpful for them starting kindergarten. Have them draw pictures and then tell you about their pictures. That's the very beginning stages of writing. And if they are comfortable with drawing and they're confident in their drawing, then once we start putting letters together to make words, they're going to be even more confident. Helping around with chores, that gives them the responsibility because when they come to school, they're going to be responsible for a lot of things, all their crayons, their scissors, where to put their papers, hang up their jackets. So anytime you can do those things at home, it just helps them build confidence for when they come to school and you're not there with them. You can work with them on how to hold a pencil, how to color, where sometimes if it's a small space, we say we use little strokes. When it's a big space, we can use big strokes. Just kind of getting used to holding the crayon. And have them cut with scissors. And I don't mean just leave the scissors out and they can go and get it whenever and start cutting the curtains or something like that. But just sometime when you have time with them, sit down with them and just have them practice cutting. Because again, all of that works with their fine motor skills, gets them ready for writing. Have them answer questions, and then just talk to your child and with your child. Having a conversation is so important. Sometimes we kind of forget about that, especially in all of our technology right now. But having a conversation is so important because it lets you know what they're thinking about, what they're feeling about. And that's a big part of kindergarten learning, is they need to tell the teachers what they know, or show the teachers what they know, explain how they know it. So the more you can have conversations with them, the easier it will be for them when they come to school. Okay. Then some of the things that we cover, this is a very big overview. It's not real detailed, but in math they need to count to 100 by the end of the year, and these are things that we work on throughout the whole year. Counting objects, sorting them, simple addition and subtraction problems, and we use a lot of manipulatives when we do that, so that they have the concrete to work with first, because we really work on developmentally appropriate learning in kindergarten. For the English language arts, that's your reading part of it. Recognizing the letters of the alphabet, capital, lowercase, what sound does each one make? Able to write their name, first letter capital, rest lowercase. Rhyming, that's one of the big things, and that's a precursor to really good spelling later on in school, which a lot of people don't even kind of correlate. But if your child can rhyme, it'll be much easier for them to do writing of words and doing better reading. They're going to start to do some reading. You're going to see by the end of kindergarten, your child is going to be bringing home books that they can read independently, and writing as well. And there I said we start with drawing pictures, then we start labeling, and then pretty soon we're writing a sentence. Sometimes by the end of the year, children are writing 4 sentences to go along with their story. So it is amazing. In science, we do a lot of hands-on experiences at school. We have the physical science with pushes and pulls, life science, plants, animals, and their environment, and earth science where we talk about weather and climate. And we do a lot of fun experiments. And that's why it's really important that your child be at school as much as possible. We know that they get sick sometimes, but know that so much happens within the classroom that we just can't send stuff home for them to make up their work. And social studies, we do a lot of that with integrating that into the reading program also, but we cover things like patriotic symbols, being a good citizen, safety and traffic symbols, maps and globes, occupations, needs and wants, the role of money. You can see there's just a ton of things that we work on throughout the year. And then in our health, we have healthy habits, food groups, and safety.
A big thing is steps or directions. It's easy to do one-step directions. It's not so easy to do two-step. I need you to go to your bedroom and get me your dirty clothes, and then I need you to come and do this for me. So they have to listen for 2 things to do. All those things, as they are learning new things, practicing them at home. Our teachers at Hayward send home a weekly newsletter, and they list what they worked on during the week. And so that's one way you can say, oh, I see you worked on the TH this week. Let's talk about those words that might have TH in them. Reinforcing at home is the best thing you can do. And if you don't get a newsletter from your teacher, reading at home is the #1 thing that can make the greatest impact with your kids. I would highly suggest, as the principal, I hear a lot about video games. If a child's struggling, I hear they have lack of sleep, or so-and-so was up playing video games at night. I would tell you limiting TV time and limiting video games would be a really great strategy for you at home. Video games, especially the ones that they might not get to play, but they might get to see that older sibling or over at that friend's house or whatever, not really appropriate for some of our 5 and 6-year-olds. So video games would be one in my world that I deal with every day. If I could ask you, it's so much better for them to play. It's so much better for them to get outside and run. It's so much better to talk to you. They come home, how was your day? Good. What does good mean? What was good about it? Or bad? What was bad about it? I don't let my 17-year-old get away with good. I make him explain things to me because that's how I learn about his life. And he shares so much more with me when I expect more out of him. So, school supplies. I know in the summer it's exciting in July. It's exciting for kids going back to school. They get their school supply list. And it's really great to start buying them when they're on sale. I would highly recommend that you contact your teacher maybe before buying the really specific things to make sure they really do need it in their rooms. Sometimes they don't request those things, and then you bought them and you're stuck with those supplies. My son is a senior this year, and I have brought a ton of supplies that I've collected over several years of school and donated them to school because we just don't need them anymore. So I would suggest talking to the school or the classroom teachers or that grade level, what do you really need? Also, let's see. Lots of teachers would tell you Crayola is a better brand of a product because it lasts longer. I know there are several kinds, but they would recommend Crayola. And then on your crayons or on your markers, putting their names on things. Each crayon, each marker. Sounds a little bit silly, but nothing's worse than you have 8 markers in your box and you're missing one of them and so-and-so has 2 or 3. And if the name is on it, no argument. We say, oh, great, thank you for finding it. And we can hand it to that person. So making their stuff their own so we don't have to share it with anyone. I'd also recommend, while the crayons are 25 cents a box, buy 4, 6, 8 of them. They break. It's not a big deal if they break. Some kids, that's a big stressor. One of our writing curriculums would tell you that a broken crayon helps form hand posture the right way, but it's a lot cheaper to buy 8 boxes at 25 cents than it is to go buy them for $1.48 now because it's December and we need more crayons because the teacher said so. So I would highly recommend to buy multiple, then they can play at home too, which is always a cool thing.
As Mrs. Mahachik said, just label everything before you come to school. It just makes their lives a whole lot easier if they don't have to stress about, I lost my crayon. We can just look and see whose name is on it and we're all good to go. And also, buy a regular size backpack. There are so many cute, cool little backpacks out there, but so many of those cool, cute little ones don't work well for your child because we have a home folder that comes home every night. They go to the library and they're checking out 2 books. And come spring, when it's cold in the morning but hot in the afternoon, those snow pants go in the backpack. So just buy a nice big size backpack. And if you want to get them that cute little one for playing at home, that's up to you. But at school, it just makes their lives so much easier if you just have a regular size backpack. And trying to stay away from the ones that have wheels because they just don't fit in our locker very well. And so then, again, another frustration. So all these things are actually to help your child just have a good start to their day. That's what all of these little hints are with all the school supplies and things like that. Know your child's needs for the day. So throughout the week, your child's going to go to PE twice, the library once, the art. Some schools do it in one block of time. Some schools split it up and so they go twice a week. And then, of course, lunch and then snack. So just make sure that they're dressed for a lot of activity and we throw recess in there and that kind of stuff. And for art, sometimes they paint. I paint a lot in my room, so just have them have clothes that if they get a little paint on them, that's okay. We usually get the paint that washes out pretty good, but once in a while they get a big old blob on there that might not come out. So just have them in comfortable clothes that they can just do a lot of good learning in. Library books, same thing as when you're a child, just take care of them at home, bring them back, and they get to check out new ones, and they always love that. So just make sure you keep a schedule. The teachers usually send home their schedule of what days these things happen on so that your child can be prepared. Tennis shoes, once again, having them be able to tie their shoes is just going to make their life easier once they get to the PE room. And then for lunch, sometimes there's things on there that they just don't like, and it's great if you just send a cold lunch with them. You'll get the lunch menu, and you can go through it. Sometimes I've had parents say you have to try the whole first month. You have to try everything, and then we'll go back and we'll mark off things that you don't like, and then we'll bring a cold lunch. That's a great idea because you're exposing them maybe to foods that they thought they didn't like, but they tried it, and they do like it. But if you ever need to send a cold lunch, that's perfectly acceptable. And kids do it just basically on days they don't like the food here. So it's something that they just don't care for. And snack, that varies from school to school and teacher to teacher. So just make sure you talk to your child's teacher about how they do snack in their room. After school, this is a really, really important thing for you to let your child's teacher know. When school starts, I always have my parents fill out a sheet of what they do after school. When we dismiss, where does your child go? And then I follow that unless you as a parent will call the school or email me or send a note in their backpack. Because sometimes they like to just make plans with their friend on the playground and say, no, I'm not going to ride the bus today. I'm going to go home with Sarah. Well, Sarah's mom didn't know that, and your child didn't let you know that, and so then we have a lost child. So that's why teachers really follow what you say, and they will not deviate from it unless you make contact with the school to let them know that. So when you decide what you're going to do after school, make sure that your child knows, like if you're meeting them on the playground, pick a spot so that every day they know that spot to go to, so then there's no confusion. Sometimes you might not be able to pick them up, but maybe grandma is. Again, let us know and just let your child know as well. If you're sending them to an after-school program, especially if it's one at the school, then we make sure they get there. If it's a daycare van, we have teachers that help them get to the right daycare vans and on the right bus. So that kind of thing. So just make sure you know, and if things change, please let the school know so that we get them where they need to be after school. Then also on the bottom, any medications or health concerns, we have a great school nurse and that she helps with all of that, all the requirements of having medications at school or who gets to administer them and that kind of stuff. So she's the expert on that one, and she is here in the hallway later if you want to talk to her about that.
Skeleton of what a day might look like. So the first bell rings at every elementary school at 7:55. The 8 o'clock bell is considered the tardy bell, and kids have to be in their classroom at 8 a.m. Most schools start serving breakfast about 7:30 in the morning, and then send kids outside because it doesn't take them very long to eat. They go outside and play for a few minutes, line up at the 7:55 bell and walk inside at 8 a.m. Within their day, they will do reading, they will do math, they will do science, social studies, recess. If you ask most kindergartners, they're going to tell you, my favorite thing is recess, and right now it's because we have snow hills. Who wouldn't like snow hills? And so recess, always plan on doing recess. Even if you send them to school and it's below 0, if it goes above 0, we are going outside. As much as we adults don't necessarily like to go outside when it's 1 or 2, they actually love to go outside, and it's so good for them to get moving around. So always plan on them going outside. Lunch is a 45-minute period, and in that 45 minutes, they eat for 20 to 25 minutes, and then they go outside for 20 to 25 minutes. I know that doesn't equal 45 minutes. It really depends on what the lunch is. If it's an easy lunch, and there's maybe 3 things on their tray, they can eat it fast and they can get outside. But on those good days when it's turkey with gravy and mashed potatoes and berry mix, they like that lunch and they like to sit and eat it, and it takes a little bit longer. So lunch is a 45-minute period, and they do go outside after they eat. The last thing on there is attendance is very important. Several years ago, kindergarten was optional. It isn't optional in the state of South Dakota anymore. You have to go to kindergarten. If your child turns 5, they need to go to kindergarten. So, and sometimes parents don't think, well, it's just kindergarten. What do they really do? Holy buckets, man. They learn so much in kindergarten. Coming on time and starting off at 8 a.m. in the morning and being part of that class routine and learning what we're going to get to do today is so important for them to be there. They get in the routine, they learn time management, they get to hang out with their friends because kindergarten is social also, learning how to get along with 20 kids and share that one adult in the classroom. Very important. It is crucial. You're setting their foundation for the next 12 years after this first year. They have 13 years of school they have to go. And if they learn in kindergarten, well, I can go sometimes, well, maybe not. That's a tough thing. That's a tough cycle to break as they get older. So cannot stress enough how important it is for them to come to kindergarten every day. If they're homesick, don't send them. The rule at school is if they have a fever, then we send them home. If they don't have a fever and they might come down and say, oh, this hurts, we might let them lay down for a few moments. We might give them some crackers. We might give them a mint to suck on. If they say, well, my throat kind of sore, they have a cough. We try hard to keep our kids here because we know that it's important that they learn every day, because they can't make up that science lesson where they got to manipulate things, or they can't make up the math where they got to have that talk about math. You cannot redo that. So kids coming to school is a really important thing. What to expect those first days? Well, first thing you need to do is attend kindergarten registration. which across the city of Sioux Falls is on March 31st from 3:30 to 6:30. And when you come to that, you need to go to the school that your child is supposed to attend. Even if you're planning on open enrolling to a different school, if you haven't heard that you have been accepted in open enrollment, you need to come to this, whatever school your child is assigned to. The first week of school, they may come home grumpy and exhausted. They may fall asleep at 3:30 when they get home. That's pretty normal. My son, when he went home those first few weeks, man, he'd fall asleep and I think, you can't go to sleep because you'll be up at 7 and then we're up till 10, 11 at night and then you're crabby the next day. That's okay. They might come excited. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I see kindergartners ready to rock and roll. And by Thursday, they're like, I don't really like school, I'm tired. Well, that's kind of natural. It takes us about 3 weeks to get in the routine. And then we have a day off here and that kind of messes things up. It's okay to be crabby and grumpy. We get over that. Because then they get in the room and they're like, oh, my friends are here and I get to play. And they don't know they're learning, they think they're playing. A suggestion from me to you would be establish that bedtime routine. Not the night before, but a couple of weeks. Set that. My bedtime's at 7 o'clock. What are we going to do before that? We're going to lay out our clothes. We're going to make sure our bag is packed. Whatever that routine looks like at your house, it's awesome if you can start that prior to coming to kindergarten. That just helps that whole routine. Kids like to know what's going to happen. They don't like gray. They like black and white. And so if you can establish that, those first weeks will be so much easier. Some may cry, very typical, not a ton, but some may cry. And my job as the principal or the counselor or the classroom teacher is to help those kids get into the school. And I can tell you almost every year, even though they're crying, and most of the time it's you guys that cry more than they do. They are pretty resilient. So they might cry a little bit, and I've taken with you and carried them in with me and talked to them and gave them the love just like they're my own. And we get in that room, and I can tell you within 10 minutes, they're like, okay, this isn't so bad. I might like it here. And they're ready to play and do whatever. It's harder on us than it is on them. I promise you. Much harder on us. They'll look at their teacher. They'll look at all their stuff. My name's here, my name tag's here. It's very exciting. Routine would be important. It's tough sometimes. Patience. They don't always change real quick. Like, oh man, I gotta go to bed again, and they fight you. Your persistence and your consistency at home will be key. Nope, bedtime's at 7. Mrs. Mahachek said you gotta go to bed at 7. Fine, or whatever. Just be consistent with them. Black and white, no gray. Gray is tough on kids.
All right, so what can you do at home and at daycare? Just like she said, maintain a consistent schedule. Just have that schedule. They love it. They know what's going to happen, and they're just much more calm instead of everything's a guessing game. So, and at school, we have a schedule, and if we deviate a little bit, they will let us know. So we usually try and give them heads up. It's going to be a little bit of a mix-up day, and then once we explain it, then they're pretty good with it. Anytime you can have them help you clean up, organize, prepare something, just do it. Because at school, they're going to have to clean up their messes. They have things organized. So if you guys do that at home, it'll just be second nature for them at school. Add environmental print to their play, like fast food wrappers or cereal boxes, just things that they can play with and you can say, oh, what does that say? What does that say? And they say, you're reading. You know what that says. And reading books to them every night is so important. Again, just can't stress that enough. We had said this before, at the grocery store, you can count or just point at a number and just say, what's that number? What's this number? Or when you're walking to the car, count how many steps. And sometimes they might not count with you, but they're hearing those numbers over and over again, and pretty soon it'll start making sense. Color cut and let them use glue, because we do that so much in kindergarten. And then talk about the importance of healthy eating choices. We do that as part of our health curriculum, and then it just coincides with just being a healthy person. And so if you do that at home and we're doing it at school, again, just makes much more sense. So things that you do at home just carry over so much at school. And then any time that you can talk about what we're doing at school at home, it's just a continuous circle for them, and so all of that learning just sticks more with them. Play a variety of make-believe. Get down on the floor and play with that car, or hold that baby doll and rock it like a real baby, and just have them interact with you when they play, because that's so important. There's so much learning that goes on with that. Building the social skills, sharing, having other kids come over, but being a part of their play too, not just letting them go and play. During TV time, interact with them. Ask them about the show during a commercial. Just say, what just happened? Who was it that went to the house first? Or anything that you can think of to make up, just so they're recalling information. And just so important is just talking to your child. I just can't say that enough, because so many children come to school not ready to talk back. They'll sit and listen really well, but I need them to talk to me and let me know, what they're thinking, what they don't understand, so I can help them better. And just emphasize how excited you are about them coming to kindergarten, even though, like she said, you guys might be scared, more scared than they are. But just say how wonderful it's going to be. You're going to make so many new friends. You're going to get so smart. And if you're excited, then they're going to be excited, and they're going to know this is a great thing for me.
When you come to kindergarten registration, you should have received from your child's future school a form to fill out, or you might have the option of completing it online. So that needs to be brought with you or completed ahead of time. You will need to have a copy of the birth certificate if we do not already have one. If you are in Head Start or preschool in Sioux Falls School District, it's very possible we have your birth certificate already, but it's not a bad idea to bring it with you. Immunizations, if you have those done, you can bring it. Sometimes we don't have those, or we're in the process of getting them. That's okay. They just need to be turned in prior to the first day of school. And then when you come, you will maybe get to meet the teachers, you'll maybe get to do a tour of the school. It depends on the school. If you are currently not in a preschool program in the Sioux Falls School District, you might want to call that school, because we started collecting names of kids who are not in our preschool program, and we have a list, so I know who to send a letter out to at the beginning of March, so they know when kindergarten registration is, because I don't want to miss anyone. To me, it's an exciting day. It's a rite of passage. They get to come and be part of kindergarten. They're going to be a big kid now, just like brothers and sisters or cousins or whatever. You really are truly going to watch one of the most amazing transformations from this 5-year-old to maybe a 6-year-old, that what they know, they maybe can read, they maybe can write. That's pretty cool when they can say, look, Mom, I can read this book. Now, it might have 3 words on a page and it might be repeating, but you know what? They can read and they're excited. So I hope you get excited with them. Enjoy and savor your next few months with them. And thank you for preparing our future kindergartners to be our leaders.
I'm Val Peters. I'm the Early Childhood Coordinator for the Sioux Falls School District. Some of you have children that are currently in our Early Childhood program. We want to thank you for coming tonight, and we're excited for this transition of your kids as they move to kindergarten and start that next big adventure. For those of you who don't have children in the Early Childhood program, we welcome you, and this will be a great opportunity for you, and it's such a fun journey to watch. I have no children in school in the district anymore. They've all graduated, and I remember that day they went to kindergarten just like it was yesterday, so you're in for a treat.